Hi Gemini, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Gemini, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings, so not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that's just fine. Don't forget to use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week card, you have the Hermit card. I always find this interesting because obviously, even though this card represents the sign of Virgo, it actually has a link to your own card, you know, or one of your own cards of the Magician, because it has that mercurial energy. And this week, in some way, shape or form, there is an element of you almost, and I said this to Taurus as well, like I get this feeling that there's an energy of you almost like like wisening up in some way. Like, remember the other thing with the Hermit card as well, this is where you take the knowledge and the information that you have, you utilize that and realize, okay, there's a gap in the knowledge that I've got, I need to get more. So you're on a search of some sort this week, Gemini, and it looks like you're going on a search or on a mission on that personal sort of maybe on a, I was going to say on an interdimensional level, and I'm not necessarily talking about like an interdimensional level, I'm talking about an interdimensional level, if you get me, right? So there's a level of that happening this week, which I actually think is going to be marvelous for you. Now, with that said, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit the subscribe button. So your foundation card is the Four of Cups. This is an interesting card. Yes, it can represent surprises, absolutely, but it can just as easily represent the energy that shows up where we are in a little bit of a funk. And I don't feel that that's the case this week, but I do feel like you're becoming aware of where the gaps in your knowledge are. It's like, I don't know enough about this to really form an opinion that matters. And this week, I feel like that's the thing that's maybe not necessarily got you down, but it is the thing that's making you think, right, okay, you know what, I need to get a bit more serious about this, which actually is not a bad thing at all. For your actions and options this week, you've got the Nine of Cups. This is beautiful. So straight out the gate, you've got two nines. Why? Because the Hermit card is number 9. 2 nines represents receipt, right? So this is knowledge, information and wisdom that are making their way to you that brings happiness and contentment. I actually feel like in a lot of ways you're reaching a personal milestone this week, but it's really weird. I just get this feeling that it's not that you're not enjoying it. It's just like, yes, I acknowledge this is wonderful, but I don't have time to stop and smell the roses at the moment. And, you know, sometimes life is like that. So we know we should carve out the time or make the time, but we just don't have it, right? Given, you know, whatever the circumstances are that's going on. But this does look like there's some very good news or a big realization on the internal plane that actually, you know what? Yes, well, there are gaps in my knowledge, I can do a lot with what I already have, which I think is pretty cool. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Justice card. This makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll say this to you this week. Not only is it that you're realizing that you don't have, maybe there are gaps in your knowledge, it looks like this week you're coming into the realization that you don't have all the facts. And that's something for a Gemini that will not stand. Like, one thing about you guys, it's like, is it fact checked? Is it verified? You know, Gemini wants receipts, and the fact that you have these 2 nines as well, if you're purchasing something big this week, if you're signing on a dotted line, if you're committing to something, if you're signing a new contract with work, all of that stuff, make sure you have a paper trail. That feels like something really important to tell you this week. Why? Because the Justice card isn't just about commitment, it's also about the legal stuff. Very often legal documents, paperwork, where you're signing on that dotted line. You come up with this now for those of you that are working for somebody else. This week, if you are asked to do something that feels like it's outside of your remit, make sure you've got a receipt, right? You need a paper trail. You've got to cover yourself this week. I don't feel like somebody's actively deceiving you, but I do feel like there's an energy here where you don't have all of the facts, right? And it's going to become evident, and it might be after you've already put your name to something. So you just want to be very, very sure this week. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, I would, if you're getting somebody else to sign something this week, check it over before you ask, because I kind of feel like, I want to say to you, like, it's almost like somebody's going to find a loophole and you might end up having to backtrack, to close said loophole. So this week, just check, read over things that you're asking people to sign. When it comes to those of you that are retired or no longer working, this looks like you're really asking yourself, what is the next commitment? What is the next big commitment? For some of you, this could be downsizing a home. For some of you, this could be getting rid of assets that you no longer use. For some of you, this could be deciding to liquidate some of your assets in order to help the kids, in order to help the grandchildren. Like, there's an element here of whatever's happening, it does look like it has a legal implication or slant to it. For your love and relations, you've got the Death card. So for some of you, the Death card right opposite the Justice card, that could literally be the end of a partnership, a commitment, a marriage, a connection, a collaboration. And the funny thing is, with the Death card, it basically is highlighting to you where something, either, especially with the Justice card, right? Something, a relationship, a partnership, a friendship, a connection, it either needs to evolve or it's going to perish. You might be happy about that because you got that 9 of Cups in the actions and options, right? Which is all about you. So there's an element here where you're kind of like, you know what? If it ends, if it dies, if it goes away, then it ends, it dies, and it goes away. I'm not in that space to hang on to something that is possibly going to be damaging or detrimental to me, to my health, to my mental health, like to my own healing journey as well. Looks like a lot of you are getting really real this week with yourselves, which I think is wonderful. Now, when it comes to your those of you that are single, looking to get, hitched, and all the rest of it, or settled at least, it's the Death card, right? So really, get serious about what your desires actually are. This feels to me like you're really going to start this week getting very clear on what it is that you actually want, because if I'm completely honest with you, it doesn't feel like you know at this point. Just my 2 cents. Maybe some of you are sitting there saying, you don't know what you're talking about. It happens. For your money and materials, you got the 3 of Pentacles. Finances, money, resources, good stuff here, right? With the 3 of Pentacles, it looks like some of you are embarking on some sort of new study. Weirdly enough, though, I don't feel like this is like I'm going to take this course and learn how to be a flower arranger, or I'm gonna, I don't feel like it's that. I feel like this is you specifically learning something about money, whether this is money management, whether it's the legal side of money, whether it's accounting, maybe it's, a course in cryptocurrency. Like, there's an element here that this week your finances improve. And whatever you're doing this week, your finances are going to improve long term because you are gaining new information. And I love this because this is that whole thing, right? This is like the bookend to that. I don't have all the information. There are gaps in my knowledge. And this is you saying, right, we're going to fix that, and we're going to fix it now. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this is going to be your bones and your knees especially. Look after the structure of your body this week, the integrity of your structure as well. So if you need to look at new supplements or anything like that, I would do so. This week especially, get clued up on what it is that your specific body actually needs. You can get those tests and stuff where they tell you like what you're likely to need and what your body specifically needs according to your own DNA and whatnot. Anyway, when it comes to the home and environment, I think this week you're probably going to be in the hermit mode, right? So if you're shutting the doors and closing the curtains and switching the phone off, like, it wouldn't surprise me. But this is because you're in pursuit of knowledge, right? And that's never a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. Now, for your new moon message, That powerful new moon that we're going to have on the 8th is the Gate 41 and Fantasy. I like this because it reminds you to keep things light-hearted. You're naturally a light-hearted sign anyway. And yes, you know, there is some nitty-gritty here where you're having to get really serious about some stuff, which is, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, but don't forget to have fun as well. Don't forget to allow yourself to dream. I think it was Einstein, wasn't it, that said, you know, when we lose the ability to imagine or to creatively visualize or something along those lines, you know, I don't actually know the quote, I can't remember it, but basically he said that your imagination and play are just as important as facts and figures, right? So this week, remember to tap into that. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.